Hidden deep in the mountains of Afghanistan, whispers tell of beings taller than any man, shadows that stride across ancient valleys, and bones too massive to belong to ordinary humans. Were they legends, or did real giants once walk this land? Welcome back to Terrifying Mystery Channel. If you crave the untold, the forbidden, and the eerie mysteries that history dares not answer, make sure you like this video and subscribe, so you never miss what lurks in the dark corners of our past. About caves where no man dares to enter. For centuries, rumors have persisted giants, impossibly tall beings with bones as thick as pillars, hidden in the soil of Afghanistan. Some say their presence is carved into the land itself. Others whisper that they were erased from history deliberately. Tonight, we descend into this mystery of myth, war, archaeology, and terror to ask. Did giants truly walk Afghanistan? The wind sweeps cold and merciless across the Hindu Kush, a mountain range older than empire itself. Its jagged cliffs rise like the broken teeth of some colossal beast, and deep within its shadows lie stories too strange to be dismissed, too persistent to be ignored. Afghanistan is a land that has swallowed armies whole, but behind its military histories and legendary invasions lies a darker, stranger thread: the whispers of giants. For centuries, villagers, travelers, and even hardened soldiers spoke of beings that walked taller than the tallest man, shadows whose footprints seemed carved into stone. These were not fleeting stories confined to a single valley. From the barren deserts near Kandahar to the hidden caves of Nuristan, tales emerged of colossal figures, creatures with rib cages wide enough to hold a grown man inside, skulls the size of boulders, and voices that could echo through mountains like thunder. Ancient accounts suggest that Afghanistan was more than a crossroads of armies, it was a crossroads of legends. The Persians told of monstrous beings cast into the mountains. The Greeks whispered of titans banished from their own lands, and Indian epics spoke of Osiris, towering adversaries who once strode across the earth. Afghanistan sat at the center of these converging stories, absorbing each myth and giving it new life in its own rugged soil. The Hindu Kush itself earned a reputation as a graveyard for intruders. Alexander the Great's army passed through its valleys, leaving behind fragments of stories about fierce mountain dwellers, some said to be of unnatural size. Genghis Khan's hordes stormed through centuries later, but even their records hinted at strange encounters in caves and valleys where the mountains seemed alive with more than just human enemies. Locals, however, needed no outside conqueror to confirm what they already believed. In scattered villages, men told of hunting parties that stumbled upon massive bones buried beneath the sand, relics unearthed during rare storms or landslides. Shepherds spoke of colossal shapes glimpsed in twilight, moving too silently for their size, and within the oral traditions passed from father to son, mother to daughter, the warnings remained. Some caves are not meant to be entered, because something waits inside, something older than memory and larger than belief. What makes these stories so enduring is not only their scale, but their persistence. Time erodes myths, empires collapse, languages fade, yet in Afghanistan the legends of giants remain stubborn, resilient as the cliffs themselves. Some say this is because their only stories clung to in a land of hardship. Others suggest it is because there is truth hidden within, the truth too unsettling to be written into the official histories. The caves, the bones, the whispers, they all lead to one terrifying possibility: that somewhere in Afghanistan's mountains, beings who do not belong in our neat version of human history once walked the earth, and perhaps still do. If the legends of Afghanistan's giants were nothing more than fireside tales, they might have faded centuries ago, yet fragments of the past seem to give them weight. Across the ancient crossroads of Central Asia, evidence partial, disputed. But persistence suggests that something larger than life once left its mark. Consider the regions. Role in early human history. The land we now call Afghanistan has been inhabited for tens of thousands of years, with layers of civilizations rising and crumbling one atop another. Archaeologists have uncovered tools, pottery, and burial sites stretching back to the Stone Age. Yet buried among these are stranger finds, objects, and remains that refuse to fit neatly into the expected record. Local villagers tell of massive skeletons unearthed during storms or excavation in remote valleys, bones the length of a man's arm, said to be human, have surfaced only to vanish once outsiders arrive. Some stories describe skulls found with jaws, so wide they could swallow a child whole, only to be quietly transported away and never seen again. Are these exaggerations born of awe, or clues to a chapter of history still deliberately unwritten? The echoes extend beyond Afghanistan itself, in Persia. Ancient Zoroastrian texts mention giant adversaries who once battled the forces of light, Indian. Epics speak of towering beings who lived in the high mountains before being cast down by gods. And in Mesopotamian lore, creatures of enormous stature are described as both protectors and destroyers of men. Afghanistan, seated at the crossroads of these cultures, would have been the perfect stage for such beings to be remembered or encountered. One particularly unsettling thread run through these accounts: the idea of the caves. The Hindu Kush is riddled with caverns, many of them unexplored even today. Some were used as fortresses, some as hideouts, but many remain untouched. Villagers claim these caverns are the resting places of giants. In hushed tones, they speak of chambers filled with bones, chambers that outsiders are warned never to enter. For those who ignore the warnings, the stories are chilling. Strange drafts that whisper like voices, shapes that move in the half-dark, and the feeling of being watched by something immense. Skeptics argue that the giant bones are often fossils of Ice Age animals, mammoths, mastodons, or oversized cattle. To the untrained eye, such remains could easily appear human in origin, and yet the mystery deepens with the sheer consistency of the stories. Generation after generation describes not just bones, but entire figures, immense beings with red hair, double rows of teeth, or eyes that glowed in the dim light. Such precise details, repeated across centuries, raise an unsettling question. Are these merely echoes of imagination, or eyewitness testimony recorded in the only way people knew how, through myth? The strangest part is how these accounts sometimes vanish into silence. Reports are made. Bones are said to be recovered. And then, nothing. No museum displays, no academic papers, just absence. As if someone, somewhere, decided the world was not ready to know. Afghanistan's mountains keep their secrets well, and in the silence of those hidden caves, it is not hard to believe that something larger than humanity's memory still lingers, waiting. For centuries, the giants of Afghanistan lived only in rumor and folklore. But then came the story that brought those whispers into the modern age, an encounter so terrifying. It still fuels debates today. The year was the early 2000s, in the harsh, remote mountains near Kandahar. According to the tale, a U.S. military patrol vanished without explanation. When a rescue team was sent into the barren valleys to search, they stumbled upon something they could not have prepared for. As the story goes, the soldiers entered a cave dock, silent, the air thick with the scent of decay. Inside, scattered across the ground, were remnants of human equipment, fragments of radios, tattered boots, and what some described as shattered bones. And then, from the darkness, it emerged, a towering figure, said to be 12 to 15 feet tall, with fiery red hair, long limbs, and a face both human and inhuman. Its eyes glowed with a predatory light. The soldiers opened fire, their bullets tearing the cavern into thunder, but the creature charged with impossible speed. It was said to wield a massive spear-like weapon, striking down one soldier before the others could react. The firefight that followed lasted mere minutes, but for those who told the story, it felt like hours in the end. The giant fell under relentless fire, its body impossibly massive. They sprawled across the cave floor. Then, according to the account, the military moved swiftly. Helicopters were called. The body was wrapped, chained, and airlifted away never to be seen again. This story, sometimes called the Kandahar Giant, spread like wildfire through military rumor networks and later leaked into public forums. Some dismissed it outright as myth-making in a time of war, but others swore the witnesses were real men, shaken by what they had seen. A few even claimed that government officials silenced those involved, threatening their careers if they spoke further. What makes this account so unsettling is how it mirrors the old stories. For centuries, villagers had spoken of cave-dwelling giants, red-haired and monstrous, who guarded hidden places. Could this tale have been a modern encounter with the very beings whispered about for generations? Or was it a fabrication, a soldier's legend born from fear, confusion, and the endless mysteries of war? Skeptics point to the lack of evidence. No photographs, no official records, only retellings. But believers counter with an eerie detail: if the story were entirely false, why did so many versions remain consistent? Why did the description of the creature align so closely with folklore that predated modern soldiers by centuries? Whether truth or fiction, the Kandahar story brought giants back into the spotlight, turning Afghanistan's folklore into a modern enigma. The cave, the towering figure. The silence that followed these elements turned whispers into a roar that has never fully quieted. Because if one such being truly existed in those mountains, hidden until a fateful patrol stumbled too close, how many more might remain undiscovered, lurking in the endless shadows of Afghanistan's caves? The modern legend of the Kandahar Giant may be the most famous, but it is far from the only strange account. Over the years, fragments have surfaced, bones said to be discovered in remote valleys, caves sealed off by military orders. Even whispers of archaeologists who found what they should not have and were silenced soon after. Yet the deeper we search, the more the trail dissolves into silence. Science, of course, offers its counter-arguments. Gigantism is a known medical condition, producing rare individuals of extraordinary height but never creatures towering 12 or 15 feet tall. Fossils of ice-age beasts, mammoths, giant camels. Even massive bears have been mistaken for human remains in the past. Skeptics argue that Afghanistan's giant bones could be nothing more than misidentified fossils. Add to this the power of rumor in times of war, and the story seems easily explained. And yet, there are gaps, missing reports, accounts that vanish without trace. Why, for example, do some locals insist they saw transport helicopters removing something from caves in the mountains? Why do stories of red-haired, cave-dwelling giants appear in both ancient folklore and modern military rumor, separated by centuries, but eerily alike in detail? It is possible, of course, that the giants are nothing more than a mirror of human fear. Mountains are hostile. Caves are dark, and the unknown has always spawned monsters in our imagination. Afghanistan, with its endless valleys and hidden places, may simply be the perfect canvas for humanity to project its oldest terrors. But there is another possibility, one that chills the blood. What if these stories, these whispers of giants, are fragments of a truth too vast for history to accept? Perhaps long ago, a race of colossal beings did walk the earth, only to vanish or to retreat into the shadows when humanity grew too numerous. Perhaps their bones lie buried in caverns, or their descendants still linger in places untouched by light. We may never know. Afghanistan remains a land scarred by war, its mountains unexplored, its caves uncharted. In those depths, mysteries could survive untouched for millennia. And if the stories are true, if even one of the giants still lingers, waiting in silence, then the world is far stranger, and far more terrifying than we dare to admit. Voice drops, slow and haunting. The wind still howls across the Hindu Kuch in the fading light. The mountains cast long shadows, and in those shadows, perhaps, something ancient stirs. Perhaps the giants of Afghanistan are not gone. Perhaps they never were. And perhaps they are waiting there. You've just stepped into one of history's most unsettling mysteries, the giants of Afghanistan. Are they myth, misidentified bones, or something deliberately hidden from us? Tell me what you believe in the comments below. This is Terrifying Mystery Channel. If you crave more untold legends and chilling secrets buried in history, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell, because some mysteries should never be forgotten.